Hey guys. So a little bit of a change of scenery around here. I'm in my office instead of in my chambers, as husband calls it. So this will be the first forgiveness video. It'll be short. I want to talk to you about what forgiveness is versus what forgiveness is not. And with that, I'm going to go straight to the internet to give you a definition of forgiveness. And this is the Wikipedia definition of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense, lets go of negative emotions such as vengefulness, with an increased ability to wish the offender well. Forgiveness is different from condoning, failing to see the action as wrong and in need of forgiveness, excusing, not holding the offender as responsible for the action, forgetting, removing awareness of the offense from consciousness, pardoning, granted for an acknowledged offense by a representative of society such as a judge, and reconciliation, restoration of a relationship. Now, I really agree with all that except for one thing, and it said it calls the person a victim. I don't agree with that, but that's a whole other class in and of itself. So it calls forgiveness an intentional and voluntary process. Now remember that. Forgiveness is a process. It is also very intentional and it is also voluntary. You don't have to forgive anyone. You don't have to forgive anything. But life is different when you don't. Resentments wreak havoc on the physical body, on the psyche, on the mental body, on the emotional body. Resentments show up as blocks in your physical body and in your energetic body, and those blocks tend to go on to the mental body with the mind chatter, and then all of that leads to self-sabotage. Now, it's not the only thing that leads to self-sabotage, but resentment is a hot poison. And it's a poison that you have created. You are the alchemist. You've created it yourself. You've poured it yourself. You've handed it to yourself. And you've drunk it yourself. And there's no other way around it. You are the poison maker. You are the poison keeper. And you are the poison drinker. Big in hell. So forgiveness is not condoning. You can still believe that what happened is wrong. You can still believe that it is not something you agree with. Forgiveness does not make what happened okay for you. Okay? Keep that in mind. If you believe that something has occurred that you're not okay with, then to say you truly forgive does not mean that you say that that behavior is okay. All right? Now, yes, in terms of radical forgiveness and in terms of the little soul in the sun, there's nothing to forgive. But we're on video 1 of forgiveness, which is not quite as waxing philosophical and deep. So, forgiveness is not condoning. Forgiveness is not a pardon. Forgiveness is not, or some of the other things that it said. It's not forgetting or really avoiding. Forgiveness is not an avoidance. Now, sometimes in lip service forgiveness, it is an avoidance because you focus more and more on going, oh, I forgave them. And you don't feel it here. And you just use those words, I forgave this, I forgave them, as an avoidance, as a way to not have to actually look at what happened and what you think about it and what you're feeling with it. And it becomes an avoidance. It becomes a crutch. Let's see. It's not an excusing. So it's not, some people have issues with forgiveness because there's a lot of ego involved, and there's a lot of hurt involved, and there's a lot of victim involved. And the victim mentality coming from the space of ego doesn't want the other person to be okay or right. As a victim, I've been wronged, and you deserve suffering like I do. So I will not excuse you because you need to be where I am. Big in hell. So, we've talked about what it's not. What is forgiveness? Really. It's not lip service. It's not the words. You can say, I forgive you all day long, and it means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. To truly forgive, to have forgiven, means you are no longer affected. It means you're not triggered. It means you're not hot poked. It means that you can hear the person's name and you don't raise your hackle. It means you can see the person and you don't grit your jaw. It means you think about the event and you don't tense your body at all. It also means that that event or whatever occurred with that person doesn't affect you going forward. You no longer look toward your future or look toward events that are going to happen and compare them to that and assume that they're going to be like that. If it's a situation with a particular person, let's say you've been hurt by a female, then you no longer go forward assuming that everyone is going to hurt you like she did. Or vice versa, like he did. One of my favorite lines from the movie Diary of a Mad Black Woman is when Orlando tells her, "Don't make me pay for his mistakes." Orlando was not her husband, whom had done things that she believed were unforgivable. Now, if you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. It is my favorite Tyler Perry movie. And she gets her revenge. I mean, she really does. She is neck deep in resentment, and turns out he needs her help, and they're still married, and she treats him horribly. She treats him horribly. She got her revenge, but her revenge did not offer her any kind of relief. Revenge does not equal relief. Often revenge equals shame, but shame's a whole other thing. So to say that you have truly forgiven means that you do not want for revenge. You do not want the other person to suffer. Doesn't mean that you condone it. It doesn't mean that you say that their behavior is okay for you. But you're not affected. You're no longer the poison maker, and you're no longer the poison keeper, and you're no longer the poison drinker. It also means that you take back your power. Because in that same movie, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, talks about when you have so much resentment or you won't forgive someone that you give them the power and then they keeps the power. You're giving away your power. And they don't even know they have it in some cases. You giving away your power and taking it back is for you. Forgiveness helps you keep your power. It helps you stop self-sabotaging. It helps you stop looking at your life from victim. Big in hell. So, we've concluded that that you are not a victim, and that forgiveness is intentional and voluntary. You have to want to forgive. You have to want to let it go and stop living in your story. It's just that simple. You have to want to let go of the story of you that is not true. Notice I didn't say the story of them. Because if you're in resentment, it's about you, not them. It's about what you are thinking about the other person or the event. It's about the ill will that you are holding toward another person. It's about the ill will you're holding toward yourself about the situation. Resentment and shame go hand in hand. And shame and blame go hand in hand. Therefore, resentment, shame, and blame all take up shop next to victim. And those things can eat you alive. Will you take back your power? So this is video 1. So in video 1, we are at what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not. And the willingness, or the willing to be willingness, to forgive. To actually let it go. Stop pointing the finger of blame that often looks like this. You did this, you did this, you did this to me. If I can blame you, then I don't have to look at myself about anything because it's your fault. Your fault my life is like this. Bullshit. Bullshit. My brother and I came from the same home. It was not big fun, good times. We could not be more opposite. And he blames everyone around him for his life. I am entitled to this because I've been wronged and somebody needs to take care of me. You need to do this. We could not be more opposite beings. He chose to do something different. So did I. Do I ever get in victim? Absolutely. If I didn't get in victim and have to have something to forgive, I could not do these videos. And if life didn't continue to offer me things, if I didn't have friendly angels coming into my life to offer me things to forgive, I couldn't continue to teach forgiveness. It is one of my parts of special. And that comes from The Little Soul in the Sun. If you haven't read that story, I did put a PDF in the files of it. So, I do encourage you to read that story this week. And I do encourage you to add Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping to your reading list. I think during the winter is a good time. As we go into January and February, it'll be a good time to read some of these books that are the base teachings of the Blue Way. We have self-forgiveness this week. Yep, we do. Don't be trying to run out on it now. There will be some more videos leading up to that so we can talk about forgiveness more and so we can talk about how truth connects to forgiveness. So, if you have questions, post them in the comments and keep breathing. Namaste, friends.